65,000 get set for opening day in the National Football League as the Steelers face the Houston Texans. Hi everybody, I'm Gus Johnson and welcome to Pittsburgh, where the great thing about week one is that everybody has a chance. Who would have thought that this time last year that the New York Giants would have gone on to win the Super Bowl in spectacular fashion? Today, with the Steelers and the Texans, we'll see two teams with much higher expectations than a year ago. I'm pleased to be joined by my partner, Randy Cross. And Randy, the Steelers finished 10-6 last year, and one thing about this team over the years, you know they're going to run the football. They have a 1,000-yard back in Willie Parker, but they drafted a back in the first round with Rashard Mendenhall out of Illinois. Why?
Well, if you just paid attention to the Steelers last year and you're a Steeler fan, you'd know why. Because when Willie Parker broke his leg, with Willie they were one team. Without Willie, they were a completely different football team. In order to be a true Steeler team, you do have to, like you said, pound the ball. Willie Parker is a proven 1,000-yard rusher. In fact, calling him a 1,000-yard rusher is probably sliding him a little bit. He's got the potential for 1,400 yards. The rookie Rashard Mendenhall, he's been tested in the preseason. He works out of the slot. He works at a lot of different things. He's a very good receiver also.
Quarterback Ben Roethlisberger is going into his 5th season. He's coming off his best year, Pro Bowl, signed a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract during the offseason. This is his team, and they're expecting big things out of Big Ben.
Well, the first big thing I believe is that last year was a nice start. 32 touchdowns, his career year to that point. I personally believe, and a lot of people here in Pittsburgh believe, that there are only brighter and bigger things to come for Ben Roethlisberger starting in 2008.
All right, the Houston Texans finished 8-8 last year. They improved in a number of different areas, most notably on defense.
Exactly, especially in their front seven over the last 3 years, Gus. It started with Mario Williams, their #1 pick 3 years ago. He is an unbelievable force. 14 sacks now at defensive end. Everyone has to allow for him. D'Amico Ryans is a tackling machine at middle linebacker, and Amobi Okoye has got double-digit potential, I should say, at sacks from that defensive tackle position.
Okay, offensively for the Texans, they have a superstar at wide receiver in Andre Johnson. Matt Schaub, their quarterback, should be much more comfortable in his second year as the starter. They've upgraded the offensive line as well. But the big question, who's going to run the football?
Well, let's call this unsettled. They had Ahman Green, and actually going into the preseason, that was the plan. Well, the plan kind of came apart in the first play when Ahman Green pulled his groin, and then Chris Brown had to be put on injured reserve. They've got Chris Taylor, who they're not positive about yet. Steve Slayton, they love this third-rounder. Look for him all over the field in this offense.
And now, today's Home Depot tools to victory.
Well, these tools, at least in my little toolbox for this game, first of all, Lamar Woodley coming from that linebacker on the other side from Harrison, the Pro Bowler for Pittsburgh, putting pressure on Matt Schaub. And for the Houston Texans, Andre Johnson, always a fast starter, put up big numbers with Matt Schaub last year. I expect more of the same today.
Randy, what are some other points of emphasis?
I think you start with the Texans somehow, some way. I don't care if Gary Kubiak has to run the ball. They need a running game for the Houston Texans against this Steelers defense. And Dwayne Brown, the rookie starting at left tackle, he's in charge of Matt Schaub's health. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, you have to protect the franchise. Last year did not do a very good job of taking care of Ben Roethlisberger. And really simply, for this defense to be the Steeler defense, they need Troy Polamalu to be the safety he was before these injuries started getting him last 2 years.
For more Home Depot player stats, log on to CBSSports.com. So coming up, opening day in the National Football League from the Steel City. It's the Steelers and the Texans next here on CBS. From the Steel City, downtown Pittsburgh, PA, this is the National Football League on CBS, and welcome to opening day as the Texans square off against the Steelers. Today's game is brought to you in high definition by Sony. High definition, it's in our DNA. Coming up, we welcome back our gladiators as the National Football League returns to CBS. Steelers, Texans, next.
Football League.
And welcome back. Perfect day for football, 70 degrees at kickoff time. And Houston has won the toss. They've elected to receive the football. Gary Kubiak in his third season. He was 6-10 his first year, 8-8 last season, so he's looking for a much better season and possibly a push toward the playoffs this year. Mike Tomlin in his first season, 10-6. They advanced to the playoffs, lost in the first round to Jacksonville. He says he knows the personnel a lot better this year, and he is also looking forward to a much better season than a year ago. So Jeff Reed will send it away for Pittsburgh, and back deep, the dangerous Andre Davis. Third meeting between these two teams. The series is tied at 1 apiece. Steelers, Texans, and we're underway from downtown Pittsburgh. And Davis will bring it out of the end zone, 8 yards deep. Tries to get outside, cuts it back inside, and goes down at the 20-yard line. Tackled by Kerry Davis on special teams, and it's a 28-yard return. So that brings on Matt Schaub in his second full season as the starting quarterback in Houston. He was traded from Atlanta, started 11 games last year, suffered with some shoulder injuries, also a concussion which kept him on the sideline, but he's efficient and he really understands how they want to play.
From the get-go, you got to watch 76, Dwayne Brown, the rookie left tackle.
First down to the far side. That one is caught out of bounds. Kevin Walter cradles the ball and gains 11 yards on the play in front of Ike Taylor. So let's take a look at the starting offense. There's Dwayne Brown, first round pick, 26th overall out of Virginia Tech. They say he was the most athletic offensive lineman at the combine. Chris Myers also traded from Denver to this Houston Texans team. The backs and receivers, Andre Johnson, true superstar, only played 9 games, had a knee injury, but still put up close to 1,000 yards. And they throw it. This is Ahman Green out of the backfield. He's the big question mark. He's stood up and taken down at the 28-yard line. James Ferrier, Lamar Woodley, a loss of 3. Defensively for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they run the 3-4. Casey Hampton, 4-time Pro Bowler, 3 in a row. They list him at 325, but he's probably close to 4 Bills. Aaron Smith and Kiesel. The linebackers, Woodley, Ferrier, leads them in tackles, Foote and Harrison. And in the secondary, they call him the Tasmanian Devil. Troy Polamalu will knock you out. Second down and 13 at the 29. Out of the I formation, Leach. Underneath, that ball caught, and it is a first down. Andre Johnson with the grab, and he's stopped by James Ferrier. And it's a gain of 13 on the play.
Nice job by Matt Schaub, getting just enough protection, stepping up, and just delivering a dart to Andre Johnson. Good example, too, on that play of the kind of start that these two have gotten off to, especially last year. They clicked instantly, Schaub and Johnson did. Johnson almost averaged 100 yards a game before he was hurt last year.
So we get our first look at the rookie, Steve Slayton, out of West Virginia. They give it to him over the right side. Slayton running hard, and Slayton gets to the 43-yard line. Aaron Smith brings him down, and no gain on the play. So let's take a closer look at Steve Slayton. What do you see when you see this third-round pick out of West Virginia?
I think what defenses will see is a kid that's able and willing to step up and block in pass blocking situations. You'll also see a kid that can really get a mismatch when it comes to his speed, and he's willing to run between the tackles. He's got that toughness.
First team All-America as a junior with the Mountaineers. Flag on the play, and this time he runs it and gets close to the 45 before he's knocked backwards. About a 2-yard pickup. Lamar Woodley brings him down.
Offside defense, number 51. 5-yard penalty, second down.
So that's James Ferrier in his 12th season out of Virginia.
That's one of the disadvantages, too, of this sort of walk-around style defense where you'll see Ferrier, you'll see Polamalu, you'll see Foote A lot of the linebacker safety types with Pittsburgh will be in and out of the line of scrimmage. If you guess wrong as you're jumping in and out, you can jump off sides.
Ferrier, a Pro Bowler in 2005, started his career with the New York Jets. 2nd down and 5 at the 48. Leach and Slayton in the backfield. Here's Slayton, makes the first man miss. Gets down and close to midfield as he gains 2 yards once again.
Now, he will run inside. That is not saying that's the best way necessarily to use Slayton. It will test him, though.
So Slayton will trot off the field. Amon Green back on the field. And as you mentioned, Green has suffered with some injuries. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler, but he's had trouble staying healthy. A knee injury cost him considerable time last year. 3rd down and 3 at midfield. Green is the single setback. Here's Schaub to pass. And he pulls it down, gets it away, and it's caught, but not enough for a first down. And that is David Anderson, a 3rd-year receiver out of Colorado State, and it doesn't look like he got enough for the first down. He may be a few inches short. Deshae Townsend brings him down.
Watch the double clutch. A ball almost gets out of Schaub's hand. That was, if you ever wanted to see a living version of what a real tuck was, he tucked that ball right back in, regained control, and just got it off to Anderson. And Kubiak is rolling these dice early.
4th down and inches at the Pittsburgh 48. Amon Green, the single setback. Walter in motion. Quarterback sneak. Schaub will get it. Matt Schaub going forward on the quarterback sneak. Looks like from this point he has enough for the first down, and does.
You saw the nose tackle Hampton hop back and forth when he finally declared. Very important. That's where Matt Schaub went away from. He followed his center, Chris Myers, who came over from Denver. Very experienced in this zone blocking scheme that Gary Kubiak sort of grew up in with Mike Shanahan in Denver. And he followed Myers where the big fella Hampton wasn't.
Texans like to come out and score quickly. And they are bringing the chains onto the field. And no! Schaub did not get it. Wow!
Can't say much for that spot, Gus. I thought he was well over the line. So did Kubiak.
Mike Tomlin will take it. Coming up, Big Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers offense after this. Ready.
Only need about 1.5 feet, 2 feet on this sneak by Matt Schaub. From all the angles we looked at, to us it appeared, at least to me, it appeared that he had that first down. In fact, our referee right there makes the signal. Terry McCauley clearly calls it a first down. Then they call for the measurement.
And this is Gary Kubiak's reaction.
He said it was first down, he said.
Now they're going to take a look. Ruling on the field is that the Texans did not get it. First challenge of the season. Back after this.
The Home Depot, the official home improvement sponsor of the NFL. And by Verizon Wireless.
And welcome back to Heinz Field. No score. Steelers and the Texans. 10:32 to play in the first quarter. We have our first challenge of the season. And here's the decision.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Houston is charged with their first timeout.
And I think a lot of that for Gary Kubiak lies in clear and indisputable. There was nothing in any of those angles that would clearly, indisputably tell you, but Matt Schaub just drills right in behind Pitts and Myers. He takes 2-3 steps before he ever starts getting pushed backwards. From the angle up here and from the angles I saw, I don't really see any way that they could not have spotted that where he got past that first down.
So the Steelers take over at their own 48-yard line. Great field position. Willie Parker lines up in the backfield. Bunch formation at the top of your screen. And they give it to Parker over the left side. And Parker may have been taken down for a loss. Mario Williams with his first tackle of the season. Doing a nice job playing the run. So Ben Roethlisberger, 32 touchdowns last season, third most in the NFL. Tom Brady threw 50. Tony Romo threw 36. He's coming off his best season, went to the Pro Bowl, only 11 interceptions, and look at that quarterback rating.
He says, you know, the Steelers are getting pass happy when they get to 50-50.
Second down and 10 at the 48. Parker, the single setback. Now he goes in motion out of the backfield, empty backfield. Roethlisberger, short drop, underneath, finds his tight end, Heath Miller. And he has it at the 45. Offensively, let's take a look at the Steelers' offensive line, giving up 43 sacks 1 year ago. The big change, Justin Hartwig comes in to play center from the Carolina Panthers. The backs and receivers, Santonio Holmes coming off a terrific year. He led the NFL in yards per catch with 18.2 per game, had 52 grabs, close to 1,000 yards. Third down 4 at the 46. Mewelde Moore has checked in. He's in the backfield, standing next to Roethlisberger. Big Ben steps up in the pocket, wants to run it, has a lane, and Roethlisberger continues. He'll get out of bounds at the 30-yard line. First down, Pittsburgh. Zach Dials pushing him out of bounds, but it's a gain of 17. And that's what makes Big Ben Roethlisberger so dangerous.
Well, if you're going to get his bunch formation and you're going to man up and you're going to be sure you're going to cover everyone, this is what you have to deal with. This is the wild card that Roethlisberger brings to his game. Unlike a lot of the other top 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the league, he really can make you pay with his feet.
So gaining 17 yards, first down to the Texans' 29. Heinz Ward, the motion man. Willie Parker skipping. And Parker picks up a couple. Defensively for the Houston Texans, let's take a look. Mario Williams coming off a terrific second year, 14 sacks to lead this team, and he was second team All-Pro. The linebackers, D'Amico Ryan's a Pro Bowler. He was also an All-Pro player, maybe the best middle linebacker in the NFL. Dials and Greenwood. And in the secondary, they missed Dante Robinson. He'll be out of the lineup for the next 6 weeks, but they get Reeves from the Dallas Cowboys. Second down and 7 from the 26. Parker. And Parker met in the hole and taken down. Zach Dials coming up and making the tackle along with C.C. Brown. A gain of 4.
Keep an eye on one little thing. You know, the Giants made it popular. There's Weaver, the defensive end. There's Mario Williams, another defensive end. All of the New York Giants, you win a Super Bowl, people imitate you. You start moving defensive ends in at defensive tackle. People start looking at those formations, and they will do exactly what you just saw. They'll start talking a little bit run at you.
Mewelde Moore checks in the game. Third down and 3 at the 22. Roethlisberger over the middle, and it's caught. Santonio Holmes inside the 15-yard line in front of Reeves. A gain of 5.
Look for this young wide receiver out of Ohio State in his third year to explode this year, and you got to give a lot of the credit not only to the coaches here in Pittsburgh, but the standard to which he feels he has to live up to, and that's Heinz Ward and the expectations he gets from his own teammate, Heinz Ward.
First down at the 13. First round pick, Santonio Holmes, 25th overall in 2006. Play fake. Roethlisberger scrambling, throws on the run. That's Heinz Ward. He's dragged down at the 6-yard line by Bennett. And Heinz Ward gets up with that smile that you always see him play with as he gains 7 yards.
There's an interesting use. Heinz Ward comes in motion like, I'm going to block, I'm going to block. You start biting on that run. Nice execution by Ben Roethlisberger, just spinning out, little sprint right, and also a nice sell by Heinz Ward, getting Fred Bennett, the corner, to commit a little bit on that play action. That's all he needed to get open.
11th year, Heinz Ward, 4-time Pro Bowler. Second down and 4 after 7. Miller in motion. Now Parker, can he get outside? Parker smelling it. Touchdown, Pittsburgh.
Wow, Gus, if your question is, can he get outside, and you're talking about Willie Parker, growing up, they didn't call him Fast Willie for nothing. He will get the outside. He gets any kind of blocking. He gets his line where it's supposed to be. He gets the outside blocking from the receivers. Heinz Ward seals the edge, and then it's just speed after a straight arm right in the face of Bennett. Parker buys himself the corner, and the legs do the rest.
Parker, 4 carries, 14 yards, and a touchdown on the drive as Jeff Reed comes in to attempt the extra point. Up and good. The Pittsburgh Steelers take a 7-0 lead, 5:44 to play. First quarter, Fast Willie getting around the corner and hitting pay dirt. So the Steelers go on an 8-play, 52-yard drive, holding the ball for close to 5 minutes. Willie Parker with a 7-yard touchdown run. He only had 2 touchdowns last year, and he gets one already on opening day.
I think that was more of a statement about the state of the offensive line for the Steelers last year. He only had 2 rushing touchdowns. They weren't very good up front last year, and already this year they're looking a little bit better.
One thing about Heinz Ward, he may be the best blocking wide receiver in the history of the game. Watch him here.
Oh, absolutely. He just seals that corner. Then watch, I mean, the corner sealed, the straight arm from Parker. That's right out of the textbook. Not only the block, but the straight arm in the run.
Looks like Heinz may have held him a little bit as well.
That's good grasp of your technique.
Line drive, and this one will go out of the end zone for a touchback. And the Texans will have it at the 20. 7-0, Pittsburgh on top. Here comes Houston.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Cadillac and by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager.
And welcome back. Steelers lead it 7-0. First down and 10 at the 20-yard line for Matt Schaub and the Texans. Schaub 4 for 4, 24 yards. He's hit 4 different receivers already. Walter in motion. Schaub to pass on first down. Steps up in the pocket and gets rid of it. Incomplete. Intended for Walter. But Schaub under pressure. Kiesel knocking him to the ground. Get the fully customizable keeper league you've always wanted with Fantasy Football Commissioner. It's at cbssports.com/fantasy. Gus Johnson, Randy Cross with you from downtown Pittsburgh. Opening day in the National Football League. Texans 8-8 last season. Second down and 10 at the 20. Steve Slayton is checked in at running back. Here's Slayton, this time with a crease. And Slayton spinning, and he goes down. Timmons makes the tackle, and it's a 7-yard gain.
Yeah, that's the kind of play, Gus, they need on first down. We talked about that. They have to get a running game. They must create some sort of running game. Right now, this Texans offense seems to be, I guess you'd say, maybe hyperventilating. Their pulse is a little quick. Right now, it's opening day. They're a little excited. They need to calm down, and nothing calms down an offense and a quarterback more than the running game.
Well, they took a big risk on fourth down, and it didn't pay off for them. 3rd and 3 at the 27. Slayton in the backfield. They throw. Andre Johnson with the grab. He gets out of bounds. Picks up a first down at the 33. Lamar Woodley knocks him out of bounds, a gain of 5. Now let's go to New York and James Brown for an NFL update.
Gus and Randy concerned in New England over this hit here. Watch Tom Brady's left leg hit right there, bent awkwardly, hit by Bernard Pollard. That in the first quarter play. Brady led off the field. We'll get you more information as it becomes available. Back to Gus Johnson and Randy Cross.
Well, Metropolis won't have Superman, at least for a little while. He means that much to that Patriot football team.
Here's Schaub setting, firing, and it's caught. Great composure by Schaub as he throws a rocket to Andre Johnson, who picks up 24 yards. Ryan Clark makes the tackle, and the Texans are moving the football.
They're just sensing now a little bit of relief. That last first down, that wonderful catch by Andre Johnson, the nice pass. Schaub buys himself a few moments, Woodley knocks him down and makes him pay for that scramble, but Andre Johnson does an excellent job of finding his quarterback, finding the hole in the defense, and getting his team a nice chunk.
3 catches, 44 yards for Johnson. On the sideline now, first down, Schaub! And he is ambushed in the backfield. Lamar Woodley with his first sack of the season.
Keep an eye on Matt Schaub here. Woodley cracked him. Remember, you mentioned the shoulder and the concussion he had last year. He got plastered by Woodley coming off the corner. They tried to block him with Vonta Leach, the fullback. Leach barely slowed down, didn't slow down Lamar Woodley. He came right over the top, unimpeded, and just slammed Matt Schaub.
A loss of 9 on the play, 2nd and 19 at the 49. And they hand it off straight ahead, Amon Green. And Amon Green will get some of it back, 8 yards on the play. Brett Favre is a Jet. Here's James Brown.
And Gus and Randy, this is what Jets fans were hoping for when they got Brett Favre play action. His second series, what does he do? The gunslinger up top, 56 yards to Jericho Cotchery. Favre, his first touchdown toss with the Jets, 442, of course, with the Packers. 7-0 back to Gus and Randy.
All right, JB, 3rd down and 11 at the 43. For the Texans, Amon Green in the backfield, Schaub out of the shotgun. They need to go to the 32 for first down. Here's Schaub, scrambling. Schaub in trouble, and he's sacked again. James Ferrier. Also, Nick Eason on the play.
Well, Ferrier and Eason, nice job of persistent sacks. Ferrier's going to come off the edge. Eason's going to come from the inside defensive tackle position. They don't let Matt Schaub breathe. That series started out so promising and ended up with a couple bruises.
So Matt Turk comes in to punt it away. He stands at the 28-yard line. Mewelde Moore, former Viking, back deep for Pittsburgh, and he signals for a fair catch and hauls it in at the 23-yard line. A 35-yard punt, but the Steelers getting pressure. And Eason knocking down Schaub for the second time.
Yes.
Welcome back, and I tell you what, Randy, that defense looks great to start the season for Pittsburgh.
Well, they were number 1 last year, Gus. Any reason right now you wouldn't rank them right there right now?
They are physical.
They're hitting hard.
Yes, they are.
They look mean.
They are.
They're in a bad mood.
First down and 10 at the 24 as the Steelers offense takes over. And play action. Roethlisberger rolling out of the pocket, throws across his body. Heinz Ward gets it down the sideline. Cuts it back. Ward down inside the 5, and there's a flag on the play.
I think it's going to be pass interference against Heinz Ward. Might be offensive pass interference. What I saw was right before Ben put that ball in the air, Heinz had a little tug down, dealing with the defender. I believe he threw him down.
It would be a 75-yard gain.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Pass interference, offense, number 86. Personal foul, grasping the face mask, defense. The penalty's offset. First down.
Heinz does a very good who me, Gus. Let's take a look. Judge for yourself. Does he gain an unfair advantage at the end here? Now, it's unfair that you're going to put him against a linebacker for starters against D'Amico Ryans, but that hand just kind of pushing and pulling like that, that will draw attention, and the official was staring right at it, and there's the face mask right there against C.C. Brown.
I don't know, Randy. I don't know, Randy. That looked like a pretty good play to me. Heinz Ward didn't look like he did too much there.
I don't know. I know it's a linebacker. I know you don't want to talk about taking advantage of a matchup. You have that linebacker trying to get the deep middle. You have the slot coming from the far side, and he's matched up across the deep middle.
Okay.
That should be a touchdown every time without any extra urging.
I'll agree with you. First down and 10 at the 24. Here's Willie Parker. And Parker knocked down Mario Williams getting in on the play. 2-yard gain. Mario Williams doing a great job against Kendall Simmons, the right guard, to shed that block.
Well, that's always been a signature play by the Pittsburgh Steelers, bringing that kind of weak side bim look where you pull the backside guard. You know, Alan Faneca, who's now with the New York Jets playing with Brett Favre, that was his deal. Running backs, Parker, Bettis, Najee, whoever played here and got the ball as a running back, followed Faneca on those short little pulls. Kimuatu, who's in Faneca's old spot, that's his specialty too.
Second down and 8 at the 26. Empty backfield, Roethlisberger, Heath Miller. And Miller picks up the first down as he gets to the 37. Tackled by Dials, but it's a gain of 12 yards. And we were talking to Roethlisberger the other day at the Steelers facility, and he told us that Heath Miller never drops a pass in practice.
Well, and he really knows how to sit down. You worked with Brent Jones, one of the great West Coast offense type tight ends who always found those holes in the defenses. That's Miller's specialty. He's not going to kill you down the field. He might get you in the red zone, but he will pick you apart getting in those little holes in the defense.
Coming off a career year, 1st and 10 at the 37. Roethlisberger, play action, steps up in the pocket, buying time, gets rid of it. And incomplete. C.C. Brown putting pressure on Ben Roethlisberger, and that will bring up 2nd down and 10.
Coming into the game for the Houston Texans. Yeah, he was throwing, as he was throwing the football, and there was a receiver in that general area, so it wasn't downing. DeJuan Robinson into the game. They're trying to mix things up. They've had Indy, Kalu. They've gone to a few different personnel groupings. They want to identify another rusher besides Mario Williams, preferably coming off the edge, somebody to take the heat off of Mario.
Empty backfield. Roethlisberger in the shotgun. Over the middle, that ball caught. Heinz Ward down the sideline. Heinz Ward still running, pushed out of bounds at the 35. Fred Bennett pushes him out of bounds, but the old man picks up 29 yards on the play. That'll take us to the end of the first quarter. 7-0 Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh with the lead and the football deep inside Houston territory.
Well, and right now the Pittsburgh Steelers are offensively, they're what I always refer to as smiling and dialing. They're pretty much just spinning that wheel, and whatever comes up is working for them right now. They get zone, they sit down. They get man, they get open.
First down at the 34. Davis and Parker line up in the eye. Miller in motion. Willie. And he's tackled from behind by C.C. Brown. And it's a gain of 2. But let's take a look at the play that ended the quarter. Heinz Ward.
Well, 2 people, Heinz Ward, and then you got to look at Bennett, the defensive back, who's going to cover him man on man. He's got him, no problem. Oops. You get that little slip. Ben Roethlisberger sees it. Heinz Ward sees it. From there on, it's a mismatch. I mean, those are the little tiny things within a defense. You do things perfectly, you match up perfectly, and your cleats betray you.
2nd down and 8 at the 32. Roethlisberger underneath. Heath Miller again at the 23. Fred Bennett, D'Amico Ryans in on the tackle, but it's a gain of 10.
We talked about initially with Mario Williams, and he comes from various points. He will come off the middle. He'll come off the outside. Here he's coming off here. Watch him come off the edge. And as he comes off the edge, he's almost completely unblocked except for a little attempt at a cut block by Willie Parker. But Ben's getting rid of the ball so quickly, it's negating that pass rush.
First down at the 23. Willie Parker hopping. And he'll get to the 21 before being taken down. Anthony Weaver, former Raven, with the tackle on that left side.
Weaver's that first down defensive end. on the other side of Mario Williams. We pointed out earlier how they actually slid him into defensive tackle with Mario on the same side, but Weaver's so reliable, plays the run very well. What they're trying to identify is someone to bring that heat on the outside, so people can't just assume they have to double up on Mario Williams, though we've seen Mario Williams being dealt with by just getting rid of the ball so quickly.
Weaver last season played the entire year, no sacks. Willie Parker bouncing it outside. He's tripped up from behind. Nicely done, Mario Williams. Got an ankle, and it's a 1-yard gain.
Yeah, I flat admire. I know you're not supposed to take sides and be too really biased in this business, but I admire Mario Williams for the way he came in as a #1 pick. He was hurt. He took some just unbelievable flack. I mean, they were ripping him in the press. People were saying things about him. He never made a big deal about being hurt. All he did was come back healthy the next year and show people last year with 14 sacks what he could really do. And what he really does well also, Gus, is he plays the run really well, like you saw.
3rd down and 8 at the 21. Roethlisberger over the middle. Caught. Santonio Holmes lost it. Out of bounds. Santonio Holmes had it stripped out of his hands by Fred Bennett. But the Steelers catch a break. They'll hold on.
Well, Bennett deals well. Santonio Holmes gets away from him. Then he comes back and just puts the tomahawk chop, the old LT, Lawrence Taylor chop on the arm and the ball to pop that thing loose.
So the Steelers now with the football at the 11.
I tell you who's doing a heck of a job so far is Marvell Smith, that left tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Very powerful. He and Willie Colon. Not the prototypical tall tackles, but man, do they have power.
And Roethlisberger fumbling the snap. He'll cover it up. One thing Ben told us when we met with him as well is that he is happy that his offensive line has been getting criticized as much as they've been getting criticized for giving up 43 sacks last year.
Yeah, because he laughs and looks at it. He says, well, they probably gave up 22. The rest are probably on me. That or coverage. He says, but I love the fact that they're getting ripped a lot because you don't have any idea how mad that makes them. Because you watch Sunday, they're going to come out playing mad, and they are in a bad mood.
They certainly are. They're playing extremely well. 2nd and 12 at the 13. Roethlisberger stretches it out. Parker follows his block. Parker spinning. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. I think the offensive line is making a point. Smash mouth.
It really is. It really is smash mouth. And I tell you, the left guard, Kimuatu, watch the job that he does. The defense comes. It's a draw. Pick a side. I'm going to move you. And one of the things you assume when you're running a draw, you don't have to block a speed rusher. Mario Williams comes up outside. Marvell Smith just gives him a quick little push. He's already run himself out of the play. Kimuatu makes the block. 6.
Another great block by Marvell Smith. 11-play drive for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They go 76 yards, hold it for 6 minutes as Willie Parker scores his 2nd touchdown of the day. How about Willie Parker? 2 rushing touchdowns all of last season. He has 2 in the first half today.
That offensive line, Gus, you mentioned that last play. You have nice observation that it sounded like a good running play, and they're blocking loud.
They are blocking loud, this offensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Andre Davis back deep, and he fields it at the 4-yard line. And Davis crosses the 25. Woods with the tackle. Let's take a look and a listen to that touchdown run.
Hear that smacking?
Yes.
That's smacking. That's pad on pad. And predominantly the pads of those guys in the black jerseys are underneath the guys in the white jerseys. And the momentum is moving forward for the Steelers' offensive line. So far, it's been textbook.
Slayton cuts it back, crosses the 30, gets up to the 31. Stopped by James Harrison, and it's a 3-yard gain. So I think you've just coined a new phrase. When an offensive line is blocking loud, that means they're blocking well.
Well, they could use some Houston Texans blocking loud right here. You know, they got 3 yards on that last play, Gus, and it's just an incumbent upon not only the rookie Brown, the left tackle, but Winston, Meyer, the rest of them. They have got to make things happen.
2nd down and 7. Slayton. And Slayton tackled by Harrison once again.
Yeah, you've got to see, sometimes an offensive line and blocking looks a little bit like a typewriter that's not quite in motion. And then you'll see one guy being blown off, another guy being back, another guy being blown off. And it's hard for a running back to pick a definite lane to run into. Right now, this line is not, their dance steps are not locked in. They're not really synced up.
3rd down and 4 at the 34. Ahman Green in the backfield. Walter in motion. Here's Schaub to pass. Fires. Intercepted. Woodley with a one-handed interception. And the Steelers have it again. Wow. What a play for the second-year player out of Michigan.
Well, in baseball, you call it a pitcher a no-hitter with no hits. When a quarterback throws a ball with a defender right there on an out, that's an uh-oh. And an uh-oh means do not do that. You can't throw a ball with a defender underneath like that. There is absolutely no excuse. And Lamar Woodley shows you a little bit of that athleticism. Imagine, Gus, at Michigan, this guy was a defensive end.
And when we talked to him the other day, he said that if he got a sack or if he got an interception, he was keeping that football, and you see it's with him right now.
He's going to take it and put it in that ice chest he's sitting on.
1st down at the 32-yard line. Rashard Mendenhall is checked in, the rookie out of Illinois. They give it to him over the left side. He breaks down the sideline with running room. Flag on the play. He's stopped at the 25 by Travis Johnson. A gain of 6. Looks like it was a face mask.
3 words you got to hear if you're looking at what Rashard Mendenhall early on here. Let's see if he's going high and tight.
That's right.
With that ball. He's got to carry it high and tight. He fumbled in the preseason. People will strip him.
Personal foul. Graceful face mask. Good attempt. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic. 1st down.
Remember, Gus, there's no longer this year is that incidental face mask. And that was a full-on get your money's worth out of Travis Johnson that was picked up by the back judge all the way from deep center field.
Travis Johnson coming off his best season. Healthy, 41 tackles. Former 1st-round pick in 2005, 16th overall. He's been hurt. 1st down and 10 of the 13 now for the Steelers. Mendenhall lines up behind Ben Roethlisberger. Play fake. Touchdown. The legend that is Heinz Ward here in Pittsburgh, and the Steelers are pouring it on. 13 yards. Steelers take a 20-0 lead.
Gus, clinic in the house.
Yes.
That was a play-action thing of beauty by Ben Roethlisberger. Heinz Ward coming out, taking advantage of it. It only takes a slight hesitation. Look at Roethlisberger stick that ball out. The safety Brown reacts to the tight end Miller, and just reacting slightly left that open for Heinz Ward on the outside.
Extra point by Jeff Reed, up and good. Matt Schaub looking it over. Woodley with the interception. Heinz Ward. Pittsburgh up big.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by CareerBuilder.com. Start building. FedEx, your ultimate NFL air and ground player. And by Viagra.
Welcome back. And NFL Players Association Executive Director Gene Upshaw passed away last month of pancreatic cancer, which was diagnosed only a week prior. Upshaw was enshrined into the Hall of Fame in 1987 for achievements as a player and a union leader. Gene Upshaw was 63 years old. and the entire NFL paying homage to Gene Upshaw, and you knew Gene for quite a while.
Since my rookie year in 1976. And Hall of Fame football player, but his post-game career transcended that Hall of Fame status. He is truly, he's in the elite status with Brown and Hallis and Rozelle and people that had a profound effect on the game of football. He'll be remembered forever.
Steelers with a 21-0 lead. This one popped high in the air.
It's live.
And it's picked up at the 20-yard line by Davis, and he goes down to the 21. Right now, the Houston Texans are trying to figure out a way to get organized. They'll have the ball on offense after this. (21-0) Pittsburgh with the lead. Beautiful aerial view from our blimp. Heinz Field, 70 degrees at kickoff time here in downtown Pittsburgh. The Texans take over, first down at their own 22. Leach and Green in the backfield. Here's Schaub to throw. Fires out of the backfield for Ahman Green. He has running room. Gets out of bounds at the 25. Larry Foote knocks him out of bounds, a gain of 6. Let's take a look back at another Heinz Ward touchdown.
Away from the ball, here's Brown, the safety. Right there is Heinz Ward. Watch him stretch his route this way, away from the safety, and open up the area for Ben Roethlisberger to fit the ball in. See that area stretch between the safety and Heinz Ward, the receiver? Part of that was because of Heath Miller, but the other part was because Heinz Ward stretched that defense a little bit one way to leave himself some room.
Ahman Green slashing through the Pittsburgh defense, gets to the 35, gains 7 and picks up a first down. Travis Kershke with the tackle. But if you're the Houston Texans, we talked at the top of our broadcast about the great thing about week 1, everybody has a chance. This Texans team under Coach Kubiak must be awfully disappointed right now.
Well, at least they have a psychic boo-boo. I mean, their brains are a little bit flustered at the moment. Now that they have to settle down. Gary Kubiak can tell you 21-0 against most teams is very, very doable. The way the Steeler team is playing, this is a huge uphill climb. They have to be more physical from here on out.
Screen, Ahman Green tracked down from behind by Nick Eason. Nick Eason is playing fast today.
Well, that's recognition by a defensive tackle. Defensive tackle, defensive end, I don't care what you want to qualify him in this Steelers defense. That's seeing a screen, reacting, and running down a running back.
Nick Eason, originally drafted by the Denver Broncos, 4th round in 2003. Had 1 start last year. 3 years in Cleveland. This is his 2nd year here in the Berg. 2nd and 10 at the 33. Slayton in the game at running back. Andre Johnson with a screen, and Johnson goes down, flag on the play. Johnson stopped by Timmons and Ike Taylor.
It's going to be a pass interference, offensive pass interference, a little blocking before the ball was thrown.
Pass interference, offense, number 89. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
David Anderson.
Gary Kubiak said he was impressed with what David Anderson had done in camp and in preseason. He was quick to tell us that's our 3rd wide receiver. In fact, he's really our 2nd because we kind of rotate in Andre Davis. He rotates all over.
Gary Kubiak back at home in Houston. Played at Texas A&M, longtime assistant in Denver, offensive coordinator for Mike Shanahan. 2nd down and 21 at the 23. Here come the Steelers on the blitz. Schaub, he better hurry. And throws an interception. Polamalu at the 31 and a flag on the play.
Holding, offense, number 69. 1st down.
Wow, the wheels are coming off for the Houston Texans.
You've heard the term, well, maybe they're seeing things that aren't there. How about when you're not seeing things that are there? And this there is number 43, Troy Polamalu. He is right in front of the receiver. I mean, he's right in front of Andre Johnson when Matt Schaub tries to hit him with that ball. He literally hit Polamalu in the numbers.
So Schaub, not turnover prone last year, but he is really throwing the ball away. Only 9 interceptions last season in 11 games. First down and 10 at the 32. Willie Parker back in at running back. Roethlisberger has it stripped, loose, picked up. D'Amico Ryans down the sideline, still running. Mario Williams stripping that ball. D'Amico Ryans returns it 41 yards. And the defense makes a play, but a flag is down.
Yeah, that was a beautiful play coming around the outside. They finally held the ball.
Personal foul. Grace in the face mask. Passing team number 39. Half minutes before the goal. First down.
Face mask against Willie Parker. He was dealing with a Moby Okoye, who was out there as the lead blocker in front of his guy D'Amico Ryans, but all set up by Mario Williams getting what he wanted. And what he wants is hold the ball a little bit. Give me the time to get there. There's that axe, that chop from the backside made famous by Lawrence Taylor in the 80s. D'Amico Ryans gets going. He sees Willie Parker coming, and then he gets his convoy. He's set up with the chop. Then the convoy comes along, number 91, defensive tackle. A Moby Okoye, then the face mask right towards the end.
Great job by Mario Williams, but the Texans offense has to somehow come up with points. Slayton knocked backwards. He'll be lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. Lamar Woodley leading the way. Kiesel in there as well, and that's a loss of 2.
Gus, when you're a defensive team, you want to play on the other guy's side of the line of scrimmage. Watch the Steelers up front. They aren't defending their territory. They're taking a little bit of Houston's. That is priority number 1 for this offense. They have a Hall of Fame type offensive line coach in Alex Gibbs. And this offensive line is not being physical. They're not staying true to their scheme.
Second down and 12 at the 14. Amon Green running, nothing. Aaron Smith. I tell you who's also having a good game. The 4-time Pro Bowler at nose tackle, Casey Hampton, is getting a massive push on Chris Myers.
Well, he's the lead man. When you start talking about playing the game on the other guy's line of scrimmage, that is what I think of. 2 nose tackles in the last 5-6 years. There's Williams down in San Diego, and there's Casey Hampton, who played the game on the other guy's side of the line. And, you know, first down isn't his down, or is his down. Second down's his down. Pass rushing's not his thing. He's done his job. He's on the sideline.
And the Texans will call a timeout. 5:15 to play in the first half. Steelers up 21-0.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Sears. This season, find everything you need to fall forward, only at Sears. And by Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world.
Check out the new and improved NFL.com Game Center with Red Zone Audio and Big Play Ticker. It's all exclusively at NFL.com. And boy, I tell you, that's a nice afternoon out on the Allegheny River. Sneaking a peek at the game. Schaub dumps it off. Amon Green, nothing. Lawrence Timmons, second year out of Florida State. First round pick last year, comes up and makes another play.
We'll talk about another young talented player. Timmons, a number 1 pick, has had to sit behind Larry Foote, getting more and more playing time. Not much pressure, but all kinds of coverage coming up late. There is a classic open field tackle, wrapping your arms and taking the player down. Wasn't exactly picture perfect as far as shooting the hips and all that other fun stuff on contact, but Amon Green wasn't going anywhere from the second he touched him.
So Chris Brown in to attempt a 34-yarder. It's up and good. Brown 25 of 29 last year, including a perfect 5 of 5 from at least 50 yards or out. And the Texans are finally on the board, 21-3. Jets, please. And we want to thank the MetLife Blimp for providing aerial coverage of all the drama below. Look for the MetLife Blimp Snoopy 1, 2, and 3 when they pass through a town near you. 21-3. Pittsburgh with the lead. Chris Brown with a 34-yard field goal. He'll send it away.
This is a beautiful Chamber of Commerce day here in Pittsburgh, and this is just what these Steeler fans ordered so far out of their football team, a physical, dominant performance.
Rashard Mendenhall back deep, line drive. Steelers let it go through. Mendenhall picks it up at the 4-yard line. And keeps his feet moving and gets to the 33 before being stopped. It's a 26-yard return. Joel Dreesen with the tackle on special teams.
And we mentioned something about the play sequence, you know, half run, half pass. And
well, coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report, join JB, Dan Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, plus a behind-the-scenes look at the grand opening of the CBS Scene, a one-of-a-kind entertainment and dining destination located next to the Patriots Stadium, and a U.S. Open update as well. It's coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report. Finish your thought, Randy.
I was saying about the 50-50. Well, when the Steelers get up like this, it becomes like 80-20, and I'm talking 80% run, 20% pass.
Willie Parker, and Parker upended by D'Amico Ryans. He gains 2 yards on the play.
And that's what you're faced with. And we saw Mario Williams make that big play against Ben Roethlisberger, and that will almost drive Pittsburgh and their offensive coordinator, Bruce Arians, more in that direction. Instead of exposing their quarterback to possibly getting hit, they will live more towards the run side than the pass side. They'll only pass in obvious situations where they have to.
2nd down and 8 at the 33. And they run it again. You're absolutely right, Randy. Willie Parker dives forward, gets to the 40. And Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Steelers, he's only in his 2nd year. Young football coach, but I tell you, he has some great coordinators around him.
Well, I talked about Bruce Arians, and I like him. My favorite's Dick LeBeau, the defensive coordinator. 50th year. I read an article in the LA Times the other day about Vince Scully being 50 years as a Dodger broadcaster. Well, this is Dick LeBeau's 50th year in football.
3rd down and 2 at the 39. Davis and Parker. Here's Roethlisberger, and he's sacked again.
Mario again.
Mario Williams again. And the Steelers have to punt it away. That's his 2nd sack of the afternoon.
Coming off that edge, out of your left side of your screen, all he wants is a little time. The key early, Ben was getting that ball out of his hand early. That quick fake, that quick pump, that gives him all the time he needs.
Jacoby Jones back deep. He starts from the 28 and is gobbled up quickly. Terrific tackle as William Gay brings him down. A 44-yard punt, no return. Now you think you have bad luck? Wait till you see the first episode of Worst Week, premiering Monday, September 22nd on CBS.
Yeah, we saw it at our seminar. We saw some
that was
clip.
funny.
That was
That's a funny show.
That was very, very funny.
1st down and 10 at the 28. 2:42 to play in the first half. Matt Schaub has to rebound underneath Slayton, and Slayton taken down at the 33 by Ike Taylor. Nice open field tackle, but it's a 5-yard, make it a 4-yard gain.
Now there's an example of using the pass as the run for Gary Kubiak's offense. If you're having trouble, the little short intermediate passes, you can learn to live with that. You're going to have to learn to live with that because right now your offensive line isn't getting the push you need to run the ball.
2nd down and 6 over the middle, and it's caught. Nicely done as Owen Daniels is stopped by Ryan Clark, but Owen Daniels over the middle picks up 10 yards. And that takes us to the 2-minute warning. 21-3. Pittsburgh with the lead. Texans trying to find their rhythm. There's Coach LeBeau, the defensive coordinator for the Steelers. He'll turn a young 71 on Tuesday. And he looks sensational. 1st down and 10 at the 43. Here's Schaub to the sideline. Leach with the catch, and he's knocked out of bounds.
Job pass complete.
But Dick LeBeau, just a wealth of knowledge and information.
Well, you look at Mike Tomlin. He's been around Monty Kiffin, Tony Dungy in that Tampa 2-4-3 gets to come here and be around Dick LeBeau with this 3-4 defense. He's sort of the Yoda of the 3-4. And what a great opportunity for Mike Tomlin. Dick LeBeau looked at him the first day of training camp and said, Coach, it's my 50th training camp.
Wow, 50 training camps. 2nd down and 5 at the 48. Schaub fires down the sideline, out of bounds.
And when you're looking at a Dick LeBeau defense, there's no other word that fits these defenses better. I talked about playing the ball on the other guy's side of the line of scrimmage and the athleticism, pressure. This is a pressure defense. They will constantly press you with their line. They will press you with their linebackers. They will hit you with their defensive backs. And they're known for having the corners that can take receivers away. They are constantly on the offense.
Brings up 3rd down and 5 at the 48. 1:49 remaining in the first half. Amon Green in the backfield for Matt Schaub. Here's Schaub, straight drop, underneath, incomplete. Anderson, the intended receiver, and the Texans will have to punt it away.
And we've already seen the #1 byproduct. If you can play defense with that kind of pressure, it most affects the quarterback. And Matt Schaub has made 2 bad decisions, almost made himself a 3rd, because that was much closer to Deshae Townsend than it was to his receiver.
Not a very good first half for Schaub. 2 interceptions. 12 of 17, 80 yards. Noel Moore back deep. Turk drives this one, and it'll go into the end zone for a touchback. 52-yard punt, a 32-yard net. Steelers will have it at the 20. Coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report, join JB, Dan Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, plus a behind-the-scenes look at the grand opening of the CBS Scene, a one-of-a-kind entertainment and dining destination located next to the Patriots Stadium. Also, a U.S. Open update. It's coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report.
Well, 2 segments of that show really liked. One was Charlie Casserly's sort of explaining all the new things and evaluating Brett Favre. And Marino did an excellent job interviewing Brett Favre. He also looked about 10 years younger than Brett Favre.
Well, that's Dan. Living down in South Florida. Here's Willie Parker. And running the football. 3-yard gain.
Saying Dan's got a little bit of that first T10 working.
Oh, I tell you what, they say he can hit it pretty well.
But we saw that early impact of Brett Favre. Just that one play, that update we got from JB, that strike down the field. There's defensive coaches all over this AFC that did not want to see that from the get-go. That's something the Jets have not had in their game plan. Haven't had that in their arsenal.
2nd down and 7 at the 23-yard line. Under a minute to go now. Ben Roethlisberger taking his time. Here's Willie Parker.
Timeout.
Stopped by Dials. Only a 1-yard gain, and timeout has been called by the Texans, their final timeout.
Now, Gus, remember that last time 3rd down, held the ball a little bit too much. I gave Mario Williams a chance to get out. Look for maximum protection on that side as you see Travis Johnson come up with a little bit of a hitch in his walk. But look for maximum protection, whatever side Mario Williams lines up on. If Ben has to hold this past about 2 seconds, they better have a couple extra bodies over on Mario's side.
There's Mario, 2 sacks in the first half.
And it's really, to me, it's a toss-up for him. And we asked him, which side do you prefer? And he goes, I look at Weaver and N.D. Kalu and the guys, and I go, which side do you want to be on? It doesn't matter to me. I'll go to the other side. I like him from the blind side where he can strip like that. But imagine a 6'7", 290-pound, quick athlete who's right in your face, who's coming off that edge where you can see him. I think he's scarier where you can see him, not where you can't see him. And he's up there on the top where you can't see him right now.
3rd down and 6. Heinz Ward, the motion man. Roethlisberger underneath. Heinz Ward, 1st down. 9-yard gain in front of Fagans.
Big Ben getting up slow. Got that ball out of there quick, but it didn't prevent him from taking a shot. Moby Okoye coming in there just being pushed down, came in low. And
similar to what we saw with Tom Brady.
Yeah, well, Brady was kind of half planted. It came into the side of his leg. That was right there in the lower quad, top of the kneecap area where Moby Okoye put his shoulder.
First down and 10 at the 34. And Willie Parker spinning and is finally chopped down by Zach Dials. Only a 1-yard gain, and that'll take us to the end of the first half with the score. The Steelers 21, the Texans 3. We'll be back with the Sprint halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Welcome back to Pittsburgh. Steelers on top of the Texans 21-3 as we prepare to start the second half. Gus Johnson along with Randy Cross. I tell you what, that Pittsburgh Steeler team explosive on all sides of the football in the first half.
This is the kind of physical performance as to why they used to call this place Blitzburg instead of Pittsburgh. And I think if you're Pittsburgh, you run the ball like crazy in the second half. You shorten the game. And if you're Houston, I think you have to look at your first half and say it might warrant a relief pitcher. I'm not saying replace Matt Schaub as the quarterback, but Sage Rosenfels, can run this offense pretty effectively, and Matt's been very, very spotty in the first half.
Rosenfels was seen warming up at the end of the first half. Now let's take a look at the first half stats. As for the Steelers, rushing yards 69, passing 88, a total of 157. 7 points off turnovers, 2 big turnovers turned in by Matt Schaub and the Houston Texans. So the quarterbacks, Ben Roethlisberger, looked like he may have injured his knee at the end of the first half. Byron Leftwich, who signed late with this Steeler team after Charlie Batch was hurt in a preseason game with the Philadelphia Eagles. Leftwich, former first-round pick with the Jacksonville Jaguars, All-America at Marshall.
Yeah, the reality is, Gus, he's a great NFL backup quarterback now. He's accepted his role, but they're going to have to steal Ben's helmet. This is opening day. Ben's going to stay in that game for as long as he has. If he comes out, it'll have to be Mike Tomlin's decision.
Mendenhall fields it on the run at the 7-yard line, following his blocks, crosses the 25, and gets close to the 27, an 18-yard return, tackled by Kevin Bentley on special teams. And there's Big Ben on the sideline. He'll come back into the game.
Saw on the yellow T-shirt right next to Ben Roethlisberger, Charlie Batch fractured his collarbone in the preseason, was put on IR. Opened up that slot and for them to bring in Byron Leftwich as the backup quarterback. There's Charlie.
First down for the Steelers at the 29. Willie Parker in at running back behind Ben Roethlisberger. And they give it to him. He spins. Nice move. As he gets to the 41, Dials makes the tackle. But a 12-yard gain for Willie Parker.
Well, if you're worried about your quarterback getting a little dinged at the end of the first half, best solution, get that offensive line to start right where they left off in the first half. Let Willie Parker start pounding that thing up there and let Ben worry about getting the ball back to Willie, and then his work's done for that play.
15 carries, 58 yards for Willie Parker, including 2 touchdowns. First down and 10 at the 41. They give it to him again. Parker, all sorts of running room. He gets to midfield, a gain of 9.
Well, and this play opens up so beautifully for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You create a gap like this, just a bubble, and then Willie Parker can just decide where he's going to go and follow the blocking pattern. Watch the bubble develop, the hole in the defense right there, and then it's just a matter of filling up inside. I mean, that's beautiful inside, specifically by the middle 3, Simmons, Kimoatu, and Hartwig.
Second down and short. They need a yard out of the eye. Parker. First down and some. Tell you what, that left side of that Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line, they have been driving their men down the field. Marvell Smith, 77. Kimoyatu, 68.
Hey, you remember, it wasn't that long ago, Willie Parker was an unknown quantity out of UNC. In fact, it was really his coming out party was opening day right there against Tennessee in 2005. And he loves early September.
Yes, he does. Already 17 carries, 74 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1st and 10 at the 42. Parker. And this time he's wrestled down by Zach Dials from the side, but a flag on the play.
Steelers pointing in the Texans' directions. Expect this one to go against Houston.
98.
Holding. Defense. Number 98. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
That's Anthony Weaver.
And Gus, that happens in a combination block. When a defensive lineman sees a combination block coming at him, he grabs the front guy, won't let him off on the linebacker. And there's Weaver dealing as defensive end right here. The combination block starts. He grabs Cologne. Doesn't look like he much grabbed him at all. If they called that on Williams, he never really got a grab on Cologne. But usually you grab the lead blocker, and the umpire sees that and calls defensive holding.
First down at the 34. This time it's Mendenhall, and Mendenhall will get inside the 30, gains 6 yards on the play. D'Amico Ryans with the tackle, and that ball's high and tight for the rookie.
Absolutely. Those are the 3 important words from here on forward. He did fumble the ball in the preseason. It became an issue because Mike Tomlin told him from the get-go, I am going to feed you. We're going to find out what kind of chops you have as a pro here in the preseason, and I'm not going to stop in the opener. I'm going to give this kid the ball. It's up to him to break that habit of fumbling. 2nd
down and 4. They pitch it to him. With room, gets down the sideline, and goes down to the 19. Stopped by Will Demps, but I tell you what, Rashard Mendenhall gains 9 yards. He was drafted by the Steelers in the 1st round, 23rd overall. Became the first running back taken by Pittsburgh in the 1st round since Tim Worley in '89.
Here's the 2 differences, what's high and tight and what's not. That's high and tight here by Willie Parker. That's not high and tight when the ball comes down. Watch Parker run. The ball comes down, he relaxes it. I know he's out in the open, but you saw Tiki Barber beginning his career. He had it low and loose, ran always high and tight. That's what Mendenhall has to do.
And when Tiki Barber ran low and loose, he fumbled the ball an awful lot until he made the conscious decision to carry it up high and close to his body. 7th straight running play by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I guess they're coming out to start this second half, and they're making a very obvious statement to this Houston Texans team.
Absolutely. And you know what they're doing here, Gus? They're making a statement, a physical statement, and they're also saying, hey, look, we know Willie Parker's our guy. We've got to give our other guy some room. We've got to give him some carries. We drafted him for a specific job, and that's to be the reliever.
2nd down and 7. They fake the pitch, dump it off. This is Davis, the fullback, has it at the 5-yard line. Nice little misdirection play. Kerry Davis, 7 starts last year, 12 catches, 50 yards. Good special teamer.
You isolate Dials, that linebacker, and 47 Demps, the safety. They can't be right. If they react at all with that pitch, you've got 1 player and 2 people in air trying to cover the 1 guy. Whoever bites up, you just give it to the fullback.
1st down and goal at the 6-yard line. Willie Parker back in the game. They give it to him. Parker spinning, and he goes down to the 4. Mario Williams there with the tackle along with Dials.
And remember, Gus, we started things off earlier today telling you about why do you draft a Mendenhall? Well, look at the running game without Willie Parker in rushing yards per game. That tells you all you need to know. That's why there's such an emphasis on the high and tight with Mendenhall. They know what they have with this young kid. He not only can run with the ball, he's also an excellent receiver. He's got all the rudimentary tools. He just has to sharpen up a few of the skills.
There, the 2 running backs. Mendenhall on the right, Parker in the game on the left, 2nd and goal at the 4. Parker already with 2 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns.
Well, when your offensive teammates are doing things the right way and you're running the ball in these +10 areas, all a defensive player is going to get on you is going to be an arm, and an arm is not going to tackle Willie. Watch the guys up front and make the room. Wonderful job at the left tackle by Marvell Smith, and there's nothing but arms to try to attempt those tackles.
Man, is Marvell Smith having a great game. Coach may need to give him a game ball after this one because he has been making great block after great block since the very beginning. 3 rushing touchdowns for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Willie Parker, just follow the big guy. 77 to pay dirt.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
28-3. The Steelers with the lead over the Texans. Willie Parker for the first time in his career with 3 rushing touchdowns in a game. And watch the blocking going on by everybody on the Steelers.
Well, watch Heinz Ward. You hear the term the next level? He does a little bit of a block on the first level on Brown, then whack! Comes right into D'Amico Ryan's chest. You notice Marvell Smith in that great kick-out block. Eliminate the middle linebacker being able to flow. That also increases that running back's chances pretty good, too.
Andre Davis inside the 5, and he is stopped at the 15. Another great-looking special teams play. This time, Donovan Woods.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. And by Charles Schwab, premium service. Expect it, don't pay it. Talk to Chuck, Charles Schwab.
Welcome back to Heinz Field. 28-3, Pittsburgh leading the Houston Texans. Texans with the football at their own 15, first down to the sideline. This ball is caught. Andre Johnson out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Gains 5 on the play in front of Ike Taylor. An investigator who reads between the lies. Simon Baker is The Mentalist. Premieres Tuesday, September 23rd on CBS.
I just thought of that. We were trying to figure out who the mentalist would be in our pregame show. The reads between the lines. That's got to be Charlie Castleman.
That's
he
right.
He used to be in the front office. He can read between the lines.
He knows them. 2nd down and 4, the 21. Here's the handoff to Slayton. Slayton with no running room there. Slayton played his college ball at West Virginia, and he is very familiar with Heinz Field. He's had one great game at Heinz Field as a player.
His sophomore year. Now admit it. Didn't that make you kind of like, oh, excuse me?
Exactly.
When he first said what he did,
yeah.
He had, 214 yards rushing?
That's right.
And then he kind of, matter of factly, said, well, in 135 yards
receiving, yeah. About 4 touchdowns against Pitt. 3rd down 4, the 21. Schaub in the shotgun. Underneath. Incomplete, intended for Johnson. Taylor defensively, but a flag on the play in the backfield.
Grasping the face mask. Offense number 76. Penalties decline. 4th down.
That's Dwayne Brown, the rookie left tackle. And once again, the Texans will have to punt it away.
Late blitz by Ferrier. See the right hand right there. Grabbing Ferrier's face mask. Brown's right hand. Lined up at left tackle. Comes in. It's declined. Get that punt going. Steelers want the ball back so they can run some more.
Welday Moore back deep at the 33. And Turk really drives this one. Moore back. And he is almost down, but now is down at the 25-yard line. Special teams tackle made by Molden, Antoine Molden. A 56-yard punt and a loss of 7. Welcome back, 28-3. Steelers. Pittsburgh with the ball at their own 20-yard line. Willie Parker racking up the yards. All you fantasy guys out there that have Willie Parker, you should be really happy. Closing in on 100 yards, 3 touchdowns. And he'll get maybe a yard and a half on the play. Let's take a look at the day for Willie Parker.
Well, going into that last carry, that was his 22nd carry. He's got about 88 yards. And it's been the chunks and the blocks, and it's been a commitment to the running game he's enjoyed, along with a lot of nice blocks by Marvell Smith, that left tackle. Seems time after time on these highlights, you see a lot of number 77 out in front of him, Gus.
That's right. Marvell Smith, as we've mentioned all day, is having just a great football game. There's Heath Miller in motion. Play fake. They dump it off. This time it's Matt Schaub. And he gains 7. D'Amico Ryans with the tackle. KC New England. Here's JB.
Hey, Gus and Randy. Matt Castle doing a nice job for New England in relief of Tom Brady. 11 plays, 80 yards, capped by that 5-yard run by Sammy Morris. 14-3 New England. Damon Heward in for Brody Coyle for Kansas City. Back to Gus and Randy.
All right, JB, now you do the preseason games for the New England Patriots, and getting information out of the Patriots about Tom Brady is like trying to get information out of the Pentagon.
Well, it's a lot easier to get good food at that new restaurant, that new CBS scene there right on site. I'll tell you that.
Parker running the football again. He gets to the 33, 4-yard gain, first down. And Willie Parker told us some interesting stuff when we talked to him at the Steelers facility the other day. When he broke his leg last year, really kind of hurt him because he was having such a great year, was leading the NFL in rushing when that occurred. So in order to get his legs healthy, he had to make sure that he went somewhere that was warm and fresh.
Well, you've seen the commercials. You need to get away.
And he went to
Willie
Brazil.
Needed to get away. He went to Brazil, Jamaica, the Bahamas. He rested those legs.
He rested his legs. First down at 10 at the 32. Here's Roethlisberger firing. Heinz Ward with the catch, and he's dragged down by Dials. Comedy that hits home. Gary Unmarried is coming to CBS Wednesday, September 24th.
When you see Jay Moore, do you still think of...
That's right. Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire.
That's right.
The guy trying to snake Jerry Maguire out of all his clients.
That's right. You know what? As a professional sportscaster, I've met a lot of agents like that.
Yeah,
they're out there.
It's redundant.
An accurate depiction. Second down and 8 at the 34. And Parker. Willie Parker. And the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, complete domination. 13-yard gain. Parker has gone over the 100-yard mark. 24 carries, 106 yards, 3 touchdowns. His 22nd career 100-yard rushing game.
I don't know how much this offensive line and this offense misses Alan Faneca. I know the Jets gave him a boatload of money, but especially on that last play, you saw Chris Kimoatu get out there and there was no one around. He pulled around, and he had to go find somebody to block. There was such a big hole on the right side.
First down at the 47. Parker again. This time down the sideline. Parker. And we'll step out of bounds at the 20. Willie Parker and the Pittsburgh Steelers gained 32 yards.
This is really starting to look like opening day 2005 when Willie Parker burst onto the scene. That was just, let's get some space. You know the term you hear when you're in a relationship, Gus, and you hear that, I need some space? That's usually not a good thing. But when Willie Parker runs the ball, he gets some space. That's a great thing.
That's a great thing. That is a great thing. Parker, 25 carries, 138 yards. He heads to the sideline. And in for him, Rashard Mendenhall. 92 yards rushing for the Steelers in the third quarter. Mendenhall. And the only reason he was stopped there is because he ran into one of his teammates, Kendall Simmons, the right guard.
I mentioned that game in 2005 to start things off against Jeff Fisher's Tennessee Titans. You know, Willie Parker was really an unknown entity. Hadn't really played much for Mac Brown. Was it Mac Brown at UNC when he was there, right?
Yep.
Hadn't played much. Had low miles. Boy, he came out of the gate screaming.
Second down and 8 at the 19. Mendenhall spinning. He goes down at the 15. And that's one thing that Coach Tomlin talked about when we spoke with him the other day, the low miles on both Willie Parker and Mendenhall.
Yeah, for instance, down in New Orleans, one of the other running backs you hear of is Pierre Thomas. Pierre was in Illinois. Pierre was one of the guys that Rashard Mendenhall kind of platooned with. And when you see these kind of backs, they have a high appeal these days because there is such a huge load. And really, it's a brutal effect on running backs. Why not get one that comes into the league that doesn't have 1,000 touches in his college career?
Third down and 5 at the 16. Welde Moore checks in at running back. Roethlisberger over the middle. Caught. Touchdown. Wow. Heinz Ward again. 16 yards. And the Pittsburgh Steelers continue their destruction of the Houston Texans.
Make no mistake, they are taking everything they want. This is just a straight drop back. Zone defense looked like quarters across the top, and that was right there in the crease of that quarter, right into Heinz Ward.
So Jeff Reed in again. He's gotten a lot of work and extra points this afternoon. It's up and good. 9-play drive, 80 yards, eating up 5 minutes and 36 seconds. How about this man? Big day. He wore an 86 jersey, and he's already walked off with 2 touchdown balls, courtesy of this man.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Pizza Hut. It's true. Pizza Hut is now delivering Tuscany pastas. Order today. And by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
$35-3, Steelers with the lead. There are the 2 offensive stars of the game. Willie Parker on the left, 22 career 100-yard games. Now third most in Steelers history behind Jerome Bettis and Franco Harris. And Heinz Ward now with 67 career touchdowns as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Andre Davis starts at the 5-yard line. And Davis is wrestled down at the 25, a 20-yard return. Lawrence Timmons with the tackle on special teams.
Oh, yeah, life is good when you're up 35-3. Just ask Brett Kiesel. You get to dance a little, get to enjoy it, then you got to go out and do your pick and shovel work.
That's right. He's got some smooth moves there with his dancing. First down and 10 at the 25, Schaub. And that one thrown to the sideline and caught by Andre Johnson at the 35. It's a gain of 11. Ben Roethlisberger.
Coverage by Taylor.
May be done for the afternoon. Byron Leftwich is really warming up hard on the Steelers sideline. Would be a great opportunity up 35-3 for Leftwich to get in and get some experience as the backup quarterback now in Pittsburgh.
See, when they start, it's one thing to have the baseball cap on, but when they zip off your rib protectors, you're not going back in the game.
Schaub in trouble, and he's sacked. Third sack of the day, Harrison. James Harrison, named the MVP of this team last year, coming off his first Pro Bowl season, and he gets to the quarterback.
There's that matchup. There's the rookie going against Harrison. Brown 76, Harrison 92.
Loss of 3, second down and 13.
Your feet aren't moving, your shoulders get turned. It's a helpless feeling because that defender is going right by you. You don't have the leverage or the strength to stop him at that point.
Harrison with 80 tackles last year and 8.5 sacks. Amon Green with running room, and he's stopped by the free safety Ryan Clark. Kansas City, New England. Here's James Brown in New York.
Hey, Gus and Randy, Kansas City drawing within 4. Brody Croyle, 10 plays, 63-yard drive. Bullet there to Dwayne Bowe, 13-yard strike. Hewitt, 4-4, 33 yards and a touch. It's 14-10 New England. That in the 4th. Back to Gus Johnson and Randy Cross.
Well, Dwayne, looks like Damon Heward coming in for Brody Croyle is the right move. Heward has been a starter there in the past. As you take a look at the Kansas City Chiefs record, Randy's prediction, wow, 5-11.
Yeah, and I think that's being nice.
Wow.
Their offensive talent is kind of marginal up front. I think their defensive talent is extremely young.
Speaking of a young team, the Miami Dolphins taking on the New York Jets at home. Here's James Brown.
And Gus and Randy, a little help on the ground this time for the Jets as you take a look at a 9-play, 69-yard drive being capped by that Thomas Jones 6-yard TD run. Jets on top 20-7. Jones 17 carries, 87 yards and a touch. Back to Gus and Randy.
And Randy, your prediction on the New York Jets, 9-7.
Yeah, I like what they've done. I think Brett Favre is going to be an important puzzle. I think bringing Faneca in there, getting Woody at the right guard position, drafting the youngster, Golston, having Pace from Arizona come in there. It's a different feeling team.
And then there also is the quarterback. He's pretty good.
Who, that 4 guy?
Number 4.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
First down and 10 at the 47 now. 34 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Amon Green. And Amon Green picks up 3 yards. So Gary Kubiak, what do you say to your team? What do you say to them to keep them motivated on opening day when something like this happens?
Well, whether you're on a very good team or a very bad team, it's always the same speech. It's only one game. It is the opener. There's a lot of emphasis on it, but you know what, guys? It's only one game.
And that takes us to the end of the third quarter with the score 35-3. We'll return to Pittsburgh after this message and a word from your local station.
After football, Rafa Nadal and Andy Murray continue their battle in the men's semis. Tonight, Serena Williams and Jelena Jokovic in the women's championship. The U.S. Open on CBS.
Welcome back. 2nd and 7 from midfield for Matt Schaub and the Texans. He fires to the far side, and it's incomplete, intended for Owen Daniels. And that brings up 3rd down and 7.
I guess this defense doesn't have much let up in it. Gary Kubiak's got that list and that chart in front of him, and if you were to put a little gold star next to every play that's really been effective, you'd have a whole lot of gold stars left in your pocket once you check that whole big chart off. Outside of a few quick flips to Andre Johnson and a couple of the runs by Amon Green, not many of them have been worth running.
3rd down. Schaub, jump pass, incomplete. And the reason that he'd have gold stars left in his pocket is because this Pittsburgh Steelers defense knows how to put pressure on the quarterback.
They never stop. No matter how you look at it, no matter who you are. I mean, total yards today, Houston has 113 yards through 3 quarters, and the defense just won't let up. They're like an alligator wrestler. They've got the alligator on their back, and now they're kind of rubbing the belly. Got the arms peeled back, and they're rubbing the belly.
So Houston has to punt. That one skipped to Turk. He gets it off, end over end punt. And the fair catch signal being made at the 16-yard line, a 33-yard punt. Ben Roethlisberger is done. Here comes Byron Leftwich. He'll get some valuable experience here in the 4th quarter.
You're watching the NFL on CBS.
The MetLife Blimp Snoopy 1 is providing today's aerial coverage of the game below. The blimp travels over 60,000 miles a year to cover sporting events and television specials throughout the United States. So a new quarterback in the game for the Steelers, Byron Leftwich. former first-round pick out of Marshall, and is the backup quarterback in Pittsburgh now. He starts 1st and 10 at the 18. Here's the handoff to Rashard Mendenhall. And he goes down to Miko Ryans. Let's stay with Byron Leftwich. And we had a chance to talk to Coach Tomlin about his backup quarterback, and he had some really positive things to say.
Yeah, after he kind of flinched when you asked him, now, worst case scenario, he said, what? I like Byron. I don't want to have to play him, though. That means Ben's hurt. It's a great luxury having a Byron Leftwich. It really is. He's a very accurate passer. And you know, he is what he is as far as a quarterback goes. He's young. He doesn't have a whole lot of miles on him. He had a couple of injuries at Jacksonville, put him in strange places as far as, you know, he lost a job. He got the job from Brunell because of an injury, and David Garrard ended up being the guy. But this has been a breath of fresh air for him coming in here to Pittsburgh.
That's right. Even Coach Tomlin said that he's come in and he's really played with a great attitude. He understands that Ben Roethlisberger is the starter. It's his team, but he's given the first team defense great looks running the scout team. And Leftwich looks like he's found a very solid home here in Pittsburgh.
What a great advantage as a defense to have a guy like this, like Byron Leftwich, firing the balls at you during scout period.
And he'll throw his first pass as a Steeler to the sideline. That one overthrown, intended for Santonio Holmes. And the Steelers will punt it away.
But Ben Roethlisberger leaves the game 13 of 14, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns.
4th down.
Which is brutally efficient for 3 quarters. It's the best term for this football team. They're not extremely flashy, but as a football team and as a quarterback today, we have seen some brutally efficient performances.
Jacoby Jones for the 38, and the Steelers keep hitting. Wow. This time it's James Harrison, 45-yard punt, 6-yard return. Back to Pittsburgh after this.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored in high definition by Sony. High definition, it's in Sony's DNA. Sprint, get NFL Mobile Live only from Sprint, only on the Now Network. And by Ford, Drive One.
(35-3) Steelers, and now the Texans take over at their own 43-yard line. See if Houston can get something going offensively. Slayton in the backfield. Schaub to throw on first down. Over the middle, caught. Walter with the grab, and he gets close to the 40. Stopped by Ike Taylor. And when we talked to Gary Kubiak, he told us that Kevin Walter reminded him a lot of Ed McCaffrey, the former Broncos receiver.
Well, he works. And he's one of those receivers that will find the empty spot, as he did right there working against Ike Taylor. Found that empty spot in the defense, and Matt Schaub needed to get that ball out of there quick. They were giving him a 6-man rush look. They only brought 4, but he still had to get that ball out of there fast.
Picked up 16. Here's the handoff, and it's Slayton. He is brought down after gaining 4 yards on the play. Harrison with the tackle. Let's take a closer look at this Pittsburgh defense today.
Well, Gus, if Roethlisberger and the offense is brutally efficient, what does it make this defense? If the offensive line was playing loud, how loud was this defense in general? I mean, I think needless to say, we started this game off talking about how important a guy like Troy Polamalu was. He's had an interception. He's had a couple big hits, but he's been kind of quiet compared to the rest of them.
That's right. Andre Johnson with the catch. There's Troy Polamalu. He missed 5 games with a couple of injuries, a rib and a knee injury, but he did earn his 4th straight trip to the Pro Bowl. All-Pro second team, and he is known as a ball-hawking, hard-hitting safety.
He is the brain on the field for Dick LeBeau, and he is the heart and soul of this defense. If he can be healthy and play like he normally does, this team's going somewhere.
Slayton, wow! Welcome to the National Football League, son, as he gets driven down by Ryan Clark, the free safety. Let's take a listen to the sounds of the NFL.
Oh, yeah. Not just offensive linemen play loud. Defensive guys bring those pads and helmets in there, make a little noise.
Your old-fashioned double-leg takedown. 2nd down and 3 at the 19.
Is that an official MMA move?
That's right. And a flag on the play.
False start, offense, number 11. 5-yard penalty, second down.
That's Andre Davis. Sage Rosenfeld's on the sideline, still with a baseball cap on. They're going to let Matt Schaub try to work his way into something positive heading into next week.
Well, he's the guy. I mean, Gary Kubiak in this franchise went out and spent a lot of money on him. That's why I said at halftime, it's not like you're going to replace Matt Schaub, but going against this Steeler defense, maybe another voice. Let somebody else see how their luck is any better.
2nd down and 8. Schaub throwing in the corner, incomplete. Johnson, the intended receiver. This will be pass interference. He was tripped by Ryan Clark inside the 5-yard line.
Pass interference, defense, number 25. Automatic, first down.
He gets in bad position, and he basically gets himself a little leg, takes it out. That's a one-leg shoot, isn't it?
That's right. No, that's a single-leg
Single-leg takedown? Oh, okay. Okay. But it's a smart play by a veteran safety. If you let him run by, it's an automatic touchdown. If you give it to him on the 5, this defense could still have a chance to hold him to a field goal.
1st down and goal at the 5. Slayton and Leach out of the offset eye. Quick fire, and this one incomplete. Flag on the play, though.
Tripping, offense, number 76. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Dwayne Brown, I'm sure this will be a game that he will remember, his first game as a member of this Texans squad against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's been a rough one for him.
Starting as a rookie is extremely memorable. Here he is starting at the left tackle there, number 76. And that little leg whip around and that trip up with the foot. That's a
leg whip?
That's a leg whip. And that's why the penalty was called. That's an automatic 10-yarder.
1st down and goal at the 15. David Anderson in motion. Schaub fires out of the backfield. Slayton. And Slayton stood up and taken down. Kiesel, first man to him, and Townsend comes in and cleans it up.
I was going to say, Gus, the dancing man got him. Good recognition by Kiesel. Did you see the way he just stopped in his tracks and then ran straight to the sideline? Watch 99, defensive end, coming around on the stunt, and right now he's going to run to the sideline, take his eyes off the back, and just run. Gets in position, perfect position to get Slayton, and didn't dance.
He did not at all. No hesitation. 2nd down and goal at the 18. Now Schaub sets up a screen, and Slayton breaks a couple of tackles before finally being clobbered by Bryant McFadden. So running to the sideline, what did that mean?
Well, it was going to be a screen. You know where the screen's going. In fact, Aaron Smith did the same thing, 91, but he misses the tackle. Kiesel didn't miss the tackle, but if you see that screen, you know it's going to that side. Don't look for who it's going to because he's going to outrun you. Just run to the sideline. He'll come to you.
Very good point. 3rd down and goal at the 14. Here's Schaub looking in the end zone, and it is caught. Touchdown. Walter makes a catch in traffic. And the Texans put 6 points on the board. 14-yard strike.
That is a beautiful play. That is just a marriage of Schaub's arm, Walter's concentration, and the faith that he can put that ball up above Ferrier, 51, the linebacker, who has his back to the ball, and there's nothing the linebacker can do.
So Walter, who led this team in receiving last year, had 5 touchdown catches to go along with his 65 overall catches, picks up his first score of the year. And the Texans, 7-play drive, 57 yards, 35-10. Nine minutes to play in the 4th quarter. Steelers with a 35-10 lead. Gus Johnson, Randy Cross with you from downtown Pittsburgh.
Everywhere you read about the Steelers in this offseason, you read about their silly strength of schedule, how hard their schedule was.
You've seen this Pittsburgh Steelers team. How worried are you about how hard their schedule, this team's schedule is?
I'm worried about the teams that they're going to have to face starting next week with the Cleveland Browns. And the Steelers running it back to get it to the 30. Mewelde Moore, a 21-yard return. If you like CSI, stick around for 11th Hour. Series premieres Thursday, October 9th on CBS. Fans starting to file out now. They've seen all they need to see from the debut of this Pittsburgh Steelers team. Next week they'll play Cleveland, followed by a game the following week, which should be very interesting, against the Philadelphia Eagles. First down and 10 of the 29. And the handoff. Rashard Mendenhall. Baltimore, Cincinnati. Here's James Brown in New York.
Hey, Gus, and a touchdown. Back to Gus and Randy.
Wow. He did have a piano on his back, JB, but it was effective.
You go, JB.
Here's Mendenhall. And Mendenhall gets to the 30-yard line, stopped by D'Amico Ryans. What's happened with that Cincinnati team?
I don't know. I don't know. The only time they make the press lately are for the wrong reasons. Either somebody's changing their name or something bad's happening. So until they do something football-wise, I don't figure much you're going to have to spend too much time worrying about them.
Third down and 9 at the 30-yard line. Expect to see a lot of running, I would imagine, by the Steelers team now.
You talked about them playing Cleveland next week. How motivated will the Steelers be next week, Gus? Because Cleveland's the boutique pick. They're supposedly really coming on.
Wow. Byron Leftwich threw a nice ball intended for Nate Washington. He goes up and can't hang on. Just can't hang on to it. But boy, did he throw a strike.
Well, it was only about 55 yards in the air, too. About 10 feet off the ground. It really isn't coming down by the time Washington gets to it. It's just sort of still moving. Almost had that squeezed against the ear hole David Tyree thing going.
Jock Reeves covering defensively. Texas got him from the Dallas Cowboys. 7:26 to play in the fourth quarter. 35-10.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Michelin, a better way forward, and by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV.
$35-10. The majestic riverboat cruising, as are the Pittsburgh Steelers. 35-10. Houston with the football. Andre Johnson and Troy Polamalu grabs him and drags him down. A 6-yard gain. Saturday, the Home Depot SEC on CBS returns as number 2 ranked Georgia travels to South Carolina to take on Steve Spurrier's Gamecocks. The action begins with Timmy B and Spencer T on the TIAA Crest. College football today. Boy, college football is just crazy right now.
And it's early.
Wow.
East Carolina.
How about them?
Couple big upsets.
Man, Michigan loses to Utah. Ohio State barely beats Ohio. There's another big upset yesterday. Middle Tennessee State beat somebody, didn't they?
Slayton, the ball carrier.
Maryland. Lawrence Timmons with the tackle on Slayton.
I'm sure Boomer was glad you remembered that it was Maryland that lost that game to Middle Tennessee.
That's right. Boomer Esiason, the Maryland great.
And that great, we've got CBS has that great SEC package, and saw that Georgia South Carolina game. Something about South Carolina since Spurrier got there, he sort of carried over that. Doesn't like Georgia, plays well against them. Oh,
there's a sack, loose ball, and the Steelers may have it. And they do.
There's Dwayne Brown, the rookie left tackle, working against Harrison.
And he may be hurt. James Harrison stripping that ball. And Woodley recovers. Watch number 92.
Yeah, 76. Dwayne Brown got his shoulders turned, the feet get out of whack. He goes to try to jump on the ball. But Harrison just comes around the soft shoulder and tries to create a soft spot on Matt Schaub's back. Strips that ball loose. See, Woodley's got a fumble recovery, an interception, a sack.
How about Harrison? He was a free agent rookie signing in 2002 out of Kent State. He's a man that's earned not only the MVP but also a Pro Bowl berth.
Challenge.
His second sack of the day, if it stands.
So when the ball comes screaming out like that, when the ball is stripped and it goes backwards, you know, it's basically a backward pass, so you can pick it up and go with it. That was not a pass. If it's being challenged that his arm was moving forward, Harrison pinned Schaub's arm to his side. That ball never got a chance to go forward. That was clearly a fumble and then a backward pass, so it's a live ball.
And you just wonder, for a guy like Dwayne Brown, who has been beaten numerous times, if it's time to take him out of the game and bring back in an Ephraim Salam, who started 16 games at left tackle last year.
Does the ball move forward? Chop? I really don't think so, because that arm never really stops movement. Once that arm wraps around him at the elbow, he doesn't get a chance to move that ball forward. And you make a good point about Dwayne Brown. I can remember starting as a rookie, too. It's an educational process.
After review, the quarterback lost control of the football. Prior to the hand going forward, the ruling on the field stands.
Very good.
First down, Pittsburgh. Houston's charged with their first timeout.
There's Dwayne Brown, folks. He's a rookie. First game. Nightmare.
Well, he moves very well. He's just got to address a few of the finer things. You talked about how smart offensive linemen have to be, and it's almost like you're doing geometry in your head every single play with the angles and the intersects and whatnot, and everything moves very fast for you when you're a rookie.
First down and 10 at the 28. Here's a handoff for Rashard Mendenhall. Mendenhall keeps his feet moving, and he gets to 25. You know, I call a lot of sports, but by far the smartest athlete that I deal with in all the sports that I call is the football player, especially the pro football player. This is the most complicated game that there is.
And it's a tough. There is not a tougher place to start as a rookie. I don't care, including quarterback. The hardest position in the NFL to start as a rookie is that left tackle spot.
How about starting as a rookie at left tackle against the Pittsburgh Steelers and Dick LeBeau? It will be one to remember. Leftwich dumps it off, and it is incomplete. Davis can't hold on. So Byron Leftwich, originally drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars, could never really get them where they wanted to be, and he was eventually beaten out by David Garrard. Played in Atlanta last year, released.
Yeah, and how many really good teams can say we've got a guy like this as a backup? Indy can't say it. New England can't say it. Philly can't say it.
Leftwich throws that one behind Nate Washington, and he was down in the backfield. Houston with pressure brings up fourth down. And Jeff Reed will come in to attempt a field goal with 5 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter.
And this is going to be down the road a very tough team to deal with, the Houston Texans. They're starting off obviously on the wrong foot here, coming off their first non-losing season, that 8-8 year last year.
Heat will attempt a 45-yard field goal.
They'll take on the Baltimore Ravens at home next week, and then a couple of trips to Tennessee and Jacksonville. And the 44-yard field goal by Reed is good. Last year, Reed missed only 2 field goal attempts all season. He was 23 of 25. He had his first 9 attempts to start last season. The U.S. Open resumes play with 3 big matchups remaining. The men's semifinal between Rafael Nadal and Andy Murray will be completed following football today. Tonight at 9, it's the women's final between Serena Williams and Jelena Jankovic. Then tomorrow at 5, it's the men's final. Roger Federer will face the winner of Nadal Murray. That's all on CBS. You a big tennis fan? You follow tennis?
I like tennis. I like the majors. I will say that. I love the Wimbledon, the U.S. Open, the French, the Italian, the Australian. I mean, the big ones are fun to follow.
I like to watch the Williams sisters. It's my favorite right now. It's also been fun to listen to Dick Enberg call your partner, who I'm filling in for today, call the U.S. Open. It's always a pleasure to hear him call major tennis.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's that particular venue. It is, you get inside that place. That is a stadium built for a me sport, because tennis is definitely a me sport, but it's like a mini gladiator stadium built for 2 people.
That's right. You notice John McEnroe is always on his P's and Q's with Dick Enberg. He knows how to control him a little bit. Steelers send it away, and Andre Davis from the 1. Davis gets up to the 26-yard line. So let's take a look at the schedule for the Steelers today against Houston, and then on the road.
No, I mean, you look at what the Steelers have going on as far as the Cleveland Browns are a team that I think Pittsburgh is clearly the class of this division. Next week is an opportunity for them to prove that again to the Browns. The Philly game to me is intriguing. Another division game in Baltimore is intriguing. Going to Jacksonville, and then they get their bye. And after that physical a start to your season, you will need that bye after week 5.
The Eagles look good, clobbering the St. Louis Rams today. Last I checked, it was 38-0. Slayton with the carry, Kursky with the tackle. There's Ben Roethlisberger, efficient as you mentioned. 13 of 14, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Heinz Ward, couple of touchdowns, couple of great blocks. Willie Parker, 25 carries, $138, 3 touchdowns.
For a guy that had 2 touchdowns rushing in 2007 in a season.
That's right.
1,300 yards, 2 touchdowns.
And Johnson over the middle with the catch. But Andre Johnson, what do you think? 9 games last year, missed some time with that knee injury. Tough opener, but he led the league in receiving with 103 catches for over or close to 1,200 yards.
Well,
back in 2006.
Look what he's done so far today. He's got 8 catches for 87 yards. I mean, that's Andre Johnson. Those are the numbers he's going to put up, and he's done that around a stifling defense where his quarterback doesn't have the time.
And there's another sack being turned in. Lamar Woodley, number 56, 5th sack of the day by Pittsburgh.
Chester Pitts still down on the ground, fell on the back of his legs.
Also in on that play, James Harrison. So if Harrison gets a half a sack, that's 2.5 sacks for Harrison. Your opinion, as we talked about before the game, it's not hard to be impressed by this man.
Not at all. Not at all. Mike Tomlin, it was a perfect choice for just the tone of this organization, this football team. He wants to keep a defensive mind. You know, they had a guy like the one sitting back in our studio,
That's
Mr.
right.
Cowher,
That's
Bill
it.
Cowher, here forever, it seemed like, he and Chuck Noll. And Tomlin brings a lot of that same edge. You know, he's a little bit different package. He might smile about it a little bit more often than Bill Cowher ever did. But this guy demands a certain level of performance. And I think the expectations internal with this team and this organization because of his leadership are a lot higher than they are outside. And you know these Steeler fans expect a lot out of their team.
2nd down and 13 at the 34. Here's Schaub underneath. And that is complete. Catch made by Owen Daniels, and he stopped by Ike Taylor. It's a 9-yard gain. Larry Foote also in on the play.
When Chester Pitts comes back into the game after getting dinged up a little bit, he has basically taken every snap the Texans have had since that first year.
Last 4 years he's played left guard. He began his career as a left tackle, Chester Pitts. As Slayton runs it, there's Kershke with the tackle. There's Chester in his 7th season out of San Diego State.
And he survived the tackle search. You know, this is the team that took Baselli in that initial expansion draft, the tackle out of Jacksonville, who never really played much for them. And he was the replacement there. He survived that, moved into guard. They're still, obviously, with Brown, the young man looking for a tackle.
Schaub dancing around the pocket, and he fires, and this will be
pass interference on foot.
Yep, intended for Slayton.
Pass interference, defense, number 50. Automatic first down.
So for the Texans, they will head home after this game as you take another look at the play.
Oh, he got in a bad position, and instead of staying in that bad position, he just held him. Yeah, we talked about that schedule of Pittsburgh and how they had their bye in week 5. Gary Kubiak and the Texans, a little bit different spot there. Their bye is actually in week 8.
First down and 10 over the middle. And Daniels goes up high, comes down with it, and somehow manages to hold on. Wow, he took a heck of a hit from Ryan Clark.
And remember, when you go down to the ground, you've got to demonstrate that control on that ball, and a beautiful catch. That's the definition of an unprotected player, and what wonderful concentration by Daniels.
Daniels will trot off the field. 2:03. They get the play off before the 2-minute warning, Slayton. And that takes us to the 2-minute warning. 1:57 remaining in the football game. 38-10, Pittsburgh. And welcome back. 1:57 remaining. Matt Schaub underneath, and Andre Johnson with the catch. He goes down at the 15-yard line. Tackled on the play by Tyrone Carter, and that's a gain of 15. Andre Johnson, 9 catches, 102 yards. Let's take a look at the Texans' schedule as they'll try to rebound after this loss.
Well, they're going to Baltimore. You saw Joe Flacco in Baltimore putting a little bit of a whooping on Cincinnati.
Over the middle again, and it's Johnson. And Johnson gets to the 5. Gain of 11. Carter again.
It's one of those ho-hum, another 100-yard reception day, about 113 yards now for Andre Johnson.
On 10 catches, there's the schedule. Tennessee leading Jacksonville. Late Jacksonville.
Those back-to-back games. That's a series when the year's over. You look at that part of your schedule and you say we were able to go back-to-back to Tennessee, to Jacksonville. It'll be a huge determination to your season and how it flows. And then you get to come home and face the Colts.
Wow.
So you get out of September, you get to that first week of October, and you're Gary Kubiak in this organization. You will have a very clear picture as to what 2008 holds for you.
First down and goal at the 4. Play fake. Schaub rolling. He's got room. Decides to run it and gets in. Touchdown. Houston. So Schaub using his legs to find the end zone. And the score now 38-16.
Defense heads this way. Schaub heads this way. It's really pretty simple. The classic misdirection. Slayton in the line goes in one direction and basically shielding your ball with the back. There's nowhere to see the ball for the defenders. It only takes a slight hesitation to set up that kind of advantage for the quarterback running.
10-play drive, 74 yards for the Texans as they hold it for 4 minutes and 10 seconds. So Schaub trying to find something positive to take into next week. Let's take another look at the touchdown.
Now, like I said, I mean, you're Gary Kubiak and you're this football team. It is one game. It does not change. You probably had a pretty good idea you weren't going to win 16 anyway.
That's right.
So it's just one game. You can't let it affect what you do coming forward. Heck, you can't even let it really affect much of Monday. Because the 24-hour rule tells you that tomorrow sometime around 4 o'clock, this one will have to be gone, taken care of. You've looked at the DVD, you've put that game away, and you're looking forward to Baltimore.
Coming up on the NFL Today, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the NFL Today. Schaub, 25 of 33, 203 yards, 1 touchdown pass, 1 running touchdown, also 2 interceptions. Mario Williams having a conversation on the Texas sideline with Travis Johnson. And the Texans will send it away with 1:14 left. Mewelde Moore over to the sideline, makes the catch inside the 5 and decides to take a knee. Houston out of timeouts with 1:10 to go, and looks like the Steelers will come onto the field, take a knee, and head into the locker room with their first win of the season. But a complete performance by this Pittsburgh Steelers team.
And to a huge degree, for Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, that scenario I just described for the Houston Texans, exactly the same. Exactly the same. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, all this, all the warm and fuzzy, all the attaboys you'll get from the family and friends and the fans, gone. Because you can't afford to carry this into next week any further than tomorrow. With the people that they have on their schedule, with the kind of team they want to be and the kind of team they can be, you can't afford to dwell too much on whether it's successes or failures.
Don't forget, U.S. Open coming up. Nadal Murray. So what do you think about the Cleveland Browns and the Dallas Cowboys? Any idea?
Personally?
Yeah.
I think it's a mismatch. I believe Dallas is, even with some of their injuries and questions at their skill position, especially the receivers, the defense of the Cleveland Browns isn't capable of revving up and staying with them. I think Cleveland's going to have to bring the whole A-game package to stay close to Dallas.
All right. Well, the Steelers brought their A-game today, as Coach Kubiak and Coach Tomlin shake hands at midfield. The Pittsburgh Steelers 38, the Houston Texans 17. For Randy Cross, this is Gus Johnson saying so long from Pittsburgh. You've been watching the NFL on CBS. We'll join James Brown in New York after this.